tell you right now. And so as we gather in this place, we remember with gratitude that we live in worship on lands that are by law the unceded territories of the Wabanaki peoples, predominantly the lands of the Mi'kmaq, Maliseet, and Passamaquoddy.
May we live with respect on this land and in peace and friendship with its peoples.
And we light this candle, welcoming the Spirit of Jesus the Christ into our hearts and into our community. Here at Visions, we proclaim our welcome. God's doors are open to all.
We are a spiritual community, welcoming a diversity of people, celebrating and exploring faith together, reaching out in love, daring to make a difference, one act of kindness at a time.
And so in the spirit of that welcome, let's take time to greet one another with the peace of Christ. So peace be with you.
And also with you.
Peace be with you.
liturgy of thanksgiving, some words of poetry that we'll hear later in song. And so whenever I motion like this, I invite you to say,
Thanks be.
your life, your breath, your smile, you're our guest.
Thanks be.
You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love.
Thanks be.
You're our hands, you're a bug. You're our eyes, you're a hug.
Thanks be.
You're the light, the water, the stars, all the miracles that surround.
Thanks be.
You're the blessings that exist, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Thanks be.
Amen. Well, I was thinking this past week that each Sunday, as folks share their wow moments for the week, that in many ways, the giving voice to those wow moments is a practice, a spiritual practice of gratitude, isn't it? And so on this Thanksgiving Sunday, I thought, naming that as a spiritual practice of gratitude would be a lovely way for us to enter into that time and to celebrate those wow moments, those moments in this past week that folks have felt they've come close to that presence, come close to the Spirit of God at work within them and within the world.
Driving in this morning, around every turn in the road was a wow moment with the beautiful color of the leaves.
Um, 31 years ago in the fall, I met Tammy McTavish, and we've been married next week 25 years. That's about
May they get to 47.
Pardon me?
I said, may they get to 47.
I agree with them. So I just wanted to tell everybody that I'm thankful for friends at school and for my new drama team as we're going to be performing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in February. So everybody come out and see us do that. I am the professor, the adult version of Polly Plummer. So, and there's a plot twist, so it's really interesting. I'm excited to share. We're all excited to share that. So.
Sounds like
And of course, I agree with Pam on the fall colors. They're very pretty. I love fall. But I'm waiting all year for this.
The fact of still being able to swim in the bay in October is great. And sailing and seeing the sun rise on one side and the moon still up in the sky on the other.
So there's this music video we're going to watch in a few moments. But during that, there's a chorus that is sung. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the story behind this presentation in a moment. But we thought that we would learn to sing the chorus before we watch it so you can sing along. And that's why you have that little piece of paper with the song chorus, Grateful. You may pick it up and never need that again, but just in case the words won't be on the screen, we want you to be able to sing along. So that's in the choir.
All
the world. And it's by Nemo. I don't know if you know who he is, but a former big rock star on MTV. And who sort of changed his life around in terms of his focus of instead of climbing the ladder to success, a transformation that happened within him, and a calling to give back to the world. So this is part of his music called Empty Hands Music, and this is his song, Grateful.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest, you're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love, you're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug, you're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you're a fun, you're my mom, you're a water, you're the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friends, you're the air, you're my dreams, you're my heart, you're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround, the feeling that go around, the hemisphere in the cloud, you're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow, you're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow, you're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that
All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be, is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Grateful for it
You're the blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learned every time I turn around. You're the water when I burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. Then the sun saying stop to think around and keep moving forward. And start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart. Align your purpose, everything
all
you
that
do.
I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be, is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all.
Every day I sit and pray to what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I get back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan. But there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything here and far. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be, is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be, is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. For it all.
You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
we had any young people with us today, we'd be inviting them to go off to the programming. But instead, we're going to enjoy some special music by the choir at Oldie, and towards the end, we'll be invited with the words on the screen to join in singing a chorus and verse. When the people of Israel settled in the land that God had provided, there was a ritual that they performed every year to remember their story and to remind themselves that the earth belongs to God. Every year, they took some of the first fruits of all that had been produced from the soil of the land and put them in baskets. They would process together to the sacred gathering place and then say these words before the priest.
My ancestor was wandering
great feast. Everyone was invited. All the refugees and immigrants and strangers that lived in the land together, and all rejoiced in these blessings of God. Thanks be. Amen. And so it is Thanksgiving. And I wonder how you will mark this day. You're going to have a family meal? Do you have to cook it, Pam? No. That's even better, right?
Yeah, they all know I'm not going to cook.
Others, well, how do you mark this day or this weekend?
Meals with friends.
Meals with friends?
A day out from school to reflect and hopefully get caught up on something.
So a break, a pause in the routine of life.
Nice little nap this afternoon.
Amen to that one.
Well, it's a day when words of gratitude often come easily to our lips. And we are reminded to pause and to be grateful, to hold those things in our heart, and perhaps give voice to them. Especially so when we consider the hardship that so many have endured in recent weeks with the devastation of hurricanes and floods and earthquakes in the Caribbean and in the southern U.S. Or with the loss of life and tragic harm that has come from yet another mass shooting south of the border this week in Las Vegas, or the tragic incident in Edmonton. Religious or not, spiritual or not, few people would disagree that pausing to remember the good things in life, saying a thank you, offering gratitude, is a worthwhile gesture. And so this weekend, we'll gather at tables with good food, with friends, with family. Some of us will offer prayers. Many of us will feel grateful and appreciative of the blessings that we're privileged to know. And yet surely Thanksgiving is more than a day on a calendar or a time of year. The passage that we read together from the book of Deuteronomy is a thanksgiving kind of a story. It shows a people reliving, remembering their history as a way of making sense of understanding their present as well as their future. The Israelites, as we heard, brought a basket of fruits from their harvest to the sanctuary as an expression of thankfulness for the gift of land and the food it produced. And then each one recited the story of their past history as a people, as an act of gratitude for the present. My ancestor was a wandering Aramean. They recalled that they were first a landless, wandering people, the story of Abraham and Sarah. Then they became aliens, living in a foreign land, the story of Jacob and his family in Egypt. Then they became an oppressed people, their experience as slaves, mistreated under the Pharaoh. And finally, under the leadership of Moses and Joshua, they became a free people, living in a land flowing with milk and honey, the promised land. And this recitation of their history was a way of remembering who they were and reminding themselves that all they had, including the land, was a gift. It was a gift to be shared with everyone, even those who were seen as aliens in their land, as they had once been in Egypt. But remembering their history was also a way to imagine their future when times got tough. You see, the book of Deuteronomy was actually compiled and finally edited during the time of exile, when so many of the Israelites had been carried off into captivity in Babylon. And so, although the story is written as if it is unfolding, or that remembering is happening in the present, these Thanksgiving celebrations would have taken place in the context of being once again an alien people in a foreign land. And so knowing their past, reliving a story that was shaped by gratitude and thanksgiving, helped the people to imagine a future shaped again by promise and possibility. Now, of course, the Israelites' history was a mixed heritage of oppression and conquest, such is the story of many nations on earth. It's also the story of our own country. Many of our forebears came here to escape persecution of belief or oppression of poverty, and in becoming settlers, also became conquerors, displacing our indigenous peoples. Spiritually, the act of giving thanks always connects us with the present moment, who we've been and who we are becoming as a people of God. Gratitude is an all-encompassing attitude toward life and living in the present world. Gratitude, or the act of giving thanks, is more than a feeling, more than a moment's pause of prayer, more than the genuine thank you felt and spoken. You see, gratitude has the power to imagine a future. Gratitude has the power to shape a different story into being than the kind of story that played itself out last Sunday night in Las Vegas, or plays it out in all too many situations of heartache, in places of despair across our globe, or around the corner down the street. You see, it's not enough to feel gratitude. We must think gratitude, imagine gratitude, act grateful. We need to think through our feelings of gratitude and ask ourselves, what do those feelings mean? What difference will feeling grateful make in how I live my life? What difference will acting from a place of gratitude make in the world? For example, how many of us, Pam told us this morning, driving in, every turn was a moment of awe, right? How many of us, we look at the beauty of creation. We take a walk somewhere and we're awestruck. But what would it mean to take our gratitude and awe for the beauty of creation as the starting point to make changes in our collective lives of how we live in relationship to the earth? What would it mean to take the gratitude that we feel, the love that we know deep in our hearts, in the particular relationships we each have, as the starting point to understanding how we live in relationship to others in our community and in our world. And I mean, that could be true for a particular person that we struggle to like, who exasperates us, as it could be for the despair we feel about what's happening in our world. What would happen if we took those feelings of gratitude as just the starting point? Those are big questions. I know. But feeling gratitude calls us to live gratitude. And in living gratitude living in gratitude calls forth a response that is about transformation. And that can only happen when our thanksgiving moves beyond the feel-good moments and we think with the mind in heart. What do I mean by that? Well, gratitude becomes whole at that point where our feelings and our thinking coincide. Gratitude practiced with the mind of the heart is what leads to generosity. And generosity is, of course, gratitude lived. Now, those of us who've been here each week know that we're engaged with some spiritual work of discernment this fall as we continue our Envisions 2020 planning. Taking those core values that we identified last year in our renewed mission and looking at the nuts and bolts of our future as a congregation. What can that be about? What can that be like? Where will we live out this mission? How will we live out this mission? What do we need to do together and commit to together in order to live out this mission as this community of faith we know as Visions United? And on our first Sunday back in September, I mentioned that we're going to take some time on periodic Sundays to explore the spiritual calling of those 4 values that we named as being core to who we are at Visions. Because this is the foundation upon which we'll make our plans that will imagine the future. And so today, we did back in September that first one, extravagant openness. But today on Thanksgiving, it seemed to me an opportune time to consider the value abundant generosity. And we identified 4 particular ways that we will strive to live out this value of abundant generosity. I gave you that card to take home again this week. But right now, let's read those together. Acting locally and globally, knowing we make a difference. Sharing a generosity of spirit in every word, every gesture, every interaction with the world. Living in gratitude, giving of our time, talent, gifts, and spirit without expectation. Exhibiting love in action and love in play, love in abundance. You see, this value of abundant generosity is all about imagining our future together from a place of gratitude. And so here's the invitation on this day of Thanksgiving. Again, take that card home, put it up on your fridge, set it on your table, put it by your bedside table, wherever it is that you might pick that up, and read it often. Take time to consider and pray. This is our call to keep open hands, to practice abundant generosity. Pray about it. How might you bring gratitude more and more into the mind of your heart as we discern our future together and as each of you practices abundant generosity? Consider and pray. as we gather to be a community of prayer this day, let's begin with a naming aloud, a giving of thanks for those things for which we are grateful. And as we hear things called out together, let's respond, thanks be.
Family.
For poetry.
Thanks
Thanks
be.
be. For family.
Thanks be.
Friends.
Thanks be.
For garden.
Thanks be.
Autumn colors.
Thanks be.
Got through that last song without any mistakes.
For warm, sexy fall days.
Thanks be.
For the safety of our nation.
Thanks be.
For our community.
Thanks be.
For our congregation.
Thanks be.
Thanks be. Thanks be. For music.
Thanks be.
For my job.
Thanks be.
For all pets.
Thanks be.
Even you go.
Thanks be.
Where did I put my tomato?
For laughter. Thanks be.
For good health.
Thanks be.
The lovely decorations here today.
Thanks be.
That random turquoise pumpkin.
Thanks be.
For the good food we're going to eat today.
Thanks be. For food to eat. Thanks be.
Some of them are there.
Thanks be.
For a wonderful minister.
Thanks be. So, in that spirit of gratitude, let's join our hands and our hearts together. So if you're nearby and you're comfortable just to reach out and to take somebody's hand.
Take up now.
Together, we join our hearts as I give voice to prayers. We remember on this day of gratitude, on this wondrous day where we have the abundance of our lives before us. We remember all of those who do not have enough, who are afraid, who are lonely, who suffer. We name aloud or hold in our hearts those persons and situations that come to our mind.
Refugees.
Both disabilities and mental health.
The poor. Those in Bangladesh.
The people in the States who have to react to all this terrible stuff that's happening to them.
To people who have terminal illness and their circle of family loved ones.
We pray for the abundance of this world to be shared, for fear to become love, for the lonely to feel welcomed, for the suffering to know rest and peace, for our prayers of gratitude to become acts of generosity, that we may be a blessing in Jesus' name, praying as he prayed. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. to generosity, let us share first in some of our announcements, our community at work, and I know Glenna, you're going to start us off, so come on up.
So, over the past couple of years, for several weeks leading up to Advent, the Visionators team has coordinated what we have called the Clothesline Ministry. And during that time, we've presented information to you on a number of local and global organizations which benefit from your concern and assistance. So as you entered this morning, you might have noticed that the clothesline is back up hanging over Charlie's head. And once again, leading up to Advent, we will update you on the work these organizations are doing and give you the opportunity, if you wish, to offer your help in the form of your time and or financial assistance. Now, we on the Visionators team know that you are a very generous congregation when it comes to outreach projects. And we know that some of these projects that you already sponsor on a regular basis. You faithfully contribute to M&S, you support the Caring Kitchen on Grocery Sunday, you dig in your pockets and your purses and you drag in your empties to contribute to the Reconnect jar, and you respond generously to whatever need is put in front of you. Now, it's not always possible, because of privacy and confidential reasons, to show you the direct results of your generosity. But as much as possible, we will attempt to do that. So on behalf of all those who have benefited from your generosity and who will continue to benefit from it, I say thank you.
And in your announcement bulletin, there is the information about the current United Church of Canada appeal to provide relief, support and monies, Caribbean hurricane relief, and details about how you can support that if you wish to make a donation. I believe right now the donations are being matched by the Canadian government. Now, Pam, you have something you want to share and tell us about, which might help a few people know about this. What did you call it? The random teal pumpkin.
So 4 years ago, an effort was created in Canada to assist children who have food allergies, because they dress up in their wonderful costumes, go out on October the 31st door to door, but take home treats that they can't eat. And so the teal pumpkin campaign has been launched. So if you put a teal pumpkin out on your veranda or somewhere visible, children who have food allergies know that there's a treat for them inside. And I guess that we're looking at dairy, peanuts, peanut butter, the colored candies, hard candies that dye sometimes, children have a problem with that. So think about apples, for example, fresh fruit. That might be something you could give them. Or an item that isn't even edible. So yesterday I went to Superstore, and this is what I bought. These are, they will make bubbles. Now that's $1.25 marked down to 44 cents. I got a deal. So I bought 130 of these. Do you get that many in River River? Yes, I do. Really? I get every child in the community. Anyway, this man walks by and says, "What are you doing with 130 of, or what are you doing with all those?" So I had a chance to tell him about the teal pumpkin, and he has a grandchild who had food allergies, and he said, "That's a great idea," and it is a good idea. Now, I'm going to tell you that pencils with Halloween decals on them, or stickers, or books, anything like that. So when we were sharing this with the Sunday school, she says, "I'm here next week. If people bring pumpkins in, that you'll paint them teal, right?"
Well, yeah, we'll have to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to return them the next.
Okay. Yeah, they may have to Drive, that's right, good point, yeah. Anyway, to save you from having to go out and buy teal paint, Visions Church will help you with that cause. Now, further to this, what we hope we can do, and we'll see if I can haul this up, is that we'll have the children in the Sunday school hold these pumpkins. I have 3 of these, and we'll take that picture and we'll send it to Cindy Day with a plea when she's giving the weather that more people over her area, her viewership, do this, because it must be really sad for a little child to get all decked out and then not be able to eat their treats. And so many of us can just do some little thing to make a difference. And when the kids come to my house one year, I gave them water bottles, and they were tickled pink not to have more trash to carry around because the water bottles didn't weigh very much, and those don't weigh very much. Stop it.
Gratitude, Pam.
Yeah.
Gratitude. Recyclable Pam.
That was me last week. So do what you can to help the teal pumpkin cafe. Good.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there's also a little teal basket kids can carry to select pictures.
No, I didn't know that. That's a good idea as well.
I
Yeah.
the other day.
So you could just make sure you have a few treats for those who are needing them.
Yeah, that's
Not
right.
necessarily 130.
No. This is what I like, so there you go.
I just want to mention those who are part of the CLT and different teams. We finalized on the date of our workshop. It'll be next Saturday morning, 14th from 10 to noon. It may be here or we may have it some other place, so watch for an email. And just a little notice that 2 weeks from today, we're going to do some work as a congregation, have a workshop that Catherine Gaw is going to facilitate for us on that Sunday morning. We'll have more details of that next Sunday to tell folks. Helen.
Just a reminder, UCW will meet this week on Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and we're meeting at Mornington Tower.
And Joan?
I have a clipboard. I know what that means. I also have the easel out there, and if you're able to help for this turkey supper on the 28th, I'd love to see you. The other thing I have to say, and I want you to say, be thankful, I will not appear with a clipboard until the pancakes start.
Thanks, Steve.
That's the last 2 Saturdays in March and the 1st of April.
Thank you, Joan. And so, we bring forward our gifts this day, those that we've offered here in our offering and to reconnect, and those we've given by card. We receive with blessing the gifts of the harvest from field and forest and sea.
We offer gifts from our work and our working years.
We receive with blessing a harvest of goodwill and friendship, skills and abilities.
We offer our gifts of time and talent to use in the faith community and in service in the world.
We receive with blessing a harvest of money, time, and talent.
We offer all that we have, all that we are, to be blessed in love sing.
Dedicating these gifts, our handout choir offers this song of praise. for our decor, our display of produce. So thank you to Peggy who created all this for us this morning. And as we go forward, let's stand and join in singing "Every Day is a Day of Thanksgiving." May we carry the gratitude that we have in the mind of our hearts. May we journey forth. That gratitude may bring forth generosity. Generosity of spirit. Generosity of our time. Generosity of our talents. Generosity of our love. And may the light